John, the cool part about my job is my customers pick up and use my product 144 times a day. It's pretty cool. An average person picks up their phone 144 times every single day. Uh, so your
How much
communication,
does I would love the statistic of like from when social media entered the world. Was it 40 times or I mean
definitely,
it's got to or it could probably more.
definitely, it probably grew up 4 or 5x just because of social
Yeah.
media. But think about your life, John. You're going to finish this call. I'm going to make up a scenario. You're going to call for a ride to get home. You're going to call Uber. You're not excited about what's being cooked at home, so you're going to order Grubhub. Your food is going to be delivered. You're going to have Instagram. Then you're going to go and pay some bills in the evening using your phone, whether it's in a bank or some other bills you
Yeah.
need to pay. And then your friends and your family are going to ping you nonstop about every interesting thing and how great the Verizon Beyonce ad was. So
Which
just
was
think about
that was a good one. Like that and the Dunkin' Donuts ad. Those two are the good. Those are the ones I like.
So if you think about it, your phone is so foundational to what you do. Same with internet at home. I travel a fair bit, and I have 2 young kids. They call me often to chat, but the minute the internet is not working perfectly, in 2 seconds, I get like 5 calls. So that is a very good place given how important what we do is in society. My whole strategy as a company can be summed up in one line. I connect people and I connect things. That's it. I don't want to do anything else. So we are in a pretty privileged position in terms of our product and how it gets used. The second thing is, look, AI is something which I think is going to be a foundational technology. And maybe I go backwards. Of all the technologies I've seen, that one I feel has the most legs. I was never that hot on blockchain. I was never that hot on metaverse. Quantum may or may not happen down the line. But AI is an interesting thing because for the last 30 years in America, we've had a deflationary environment. In other words, products have cost less every year than the previous year. For the
Yes.
most part, if you
Yes.
pull out education and healthcare, every product we use today costs less than it did 15, 20 years ago when adjusted for inflation. And the reason for that has been offshoring in China. That has been the single biggest driver of deflationary environment and labor productivity in America. That movie has come to an abrupt stop. So for the next 20 years, the only lever America has today in labor productivity is going to be AI. So I think it's a foundational technology for long-term GDP growth for the country. So I think that's probably the biggest piece I'm excited about. The second piece is it is also an interesting technology where what the technology can do and what it is adopted for, the gap is the biggest. I've never
You
seen a
mean
tech.
use cases, right? Like where it's almost like when the internet first started. I remember like going on AOL and it didn't do anything,
Yeah,
right? Like, you can like make a couple emails and maybe look up the weather.
yeah, yeah. You go, John at AOL.com. That's a great email address to have. But I think the gap is big. So we need to be careful not to get carried away by the exuberance, but focus on use cases. I have a vision. I want to be the world's best AI applied company. Uh, and I want to be a
What does that
benchmark.
mean?
So I don't want to design AI technologies. I don't want to have the next big model or, out Gemini or out OpenAI in their thing. I want to take AI deep into the operations of my company and fundamentally do two things. One, a better outcome for my customers. It's easier, we are more friendly, we are more relatable. So that's one. Second is drive revenue growth. That's it. Those are my two things. I'm less worried about cost. I think we can do other things in cost, but customer experience and driving significant more revenue is what I want to use AI.
And do you feel that it makes it better? Because right now, customer support on any software or any service to me is just a difficult process to navigate. Right? You never can talk to anyone, and it's hard. So how will AI help that?
So I want to talk about 3 places where I'm very bullish on in my group. The first is customer service. I have tens of thousands of people, multiple tens of thousands of people around the world serving customers. And let's say you call in, your really good phone has an issue, and maybe the screen is cracked or there's a software bug on it. You call a rep, he or she goes, searches it up in their intranet, finds a PDF document that is 60 pages long, looks for your issue, and then troubleshoots with you. And like, oh, it's not that. It's a complicated process. So I want to take the cognitive workload off my frontline teams, whether it's my service teams or my sales teams. You go into a Verizon store, call me if it's easier. But if you go into a Verizon store, there are plans, there are new plans, there are promotions. I don't want the rep to worry about all of that. I want my specialist to focus on you, John. What's going on in your life? What are your needs? How can I serve you? Empathize with you, connect with you. All the cognition I want to put in AI. So we have a co-pilot that literally walks you and the rep through a sales process or through a service environment. We are very close to launching that more broadly in our ecosystem, but it's a great use case for all this crazy technology used in production today.
It's all use cases. Just like it was all use cases once the web, Facebook, to all these apps that are gigantic now, the Magnificent Seven, the Six, whatever we want to call them. I think there's just so much opportunity. And I think personally, it's going to create more jobs, not less. That's just my view. And I think, we're going to be able to be what we are, human. Like, these are all tools. Humans are not going away, and they're only going to actually get better with having the co-pilot, the person that maybe helps some of their weaknesses to become more strengths.
Let's pick up on the jobs theme here, John.
Right.
I'm an accountant, though I don't do much accounting. I'm an accountant by education. In the early 80s, VisiCalc came, which was the first real program for accounting. There were 349,000 accountants in America, accountants/bookkeepers in America at that time. That's what they were called, bookkeepers back then.
Yeah.
VisiCalc is going to come. All accountants are going to lose their job. Everything's going to be automated. The last survey I looked at, there are 1.4 million people in America who do accounting/auditing or some related function. VisiCalc didn't take away their jobs. It actually added 4x their job. It just moved to a higher tier what they do. The basic grunt work, the basic load has been taken off. I think most functions are going to get through this.
Well, hopefully this is productivity, right? Like for coding. If you can 10x your coding skills, you're going to be able to produce more with less. So it's going to, like, it'll affect certain things, but then other things will grow from it. It has every revolution, industrial revolution, right? Like, it's just things change, right? And hopefully reskilling and people being cognizant of this, because I think that's important, because then that'll create a whole new industry and a whole new way for people to be excited to learn something new and be something new. So next question. So work. We're talking jobs. Now it's work. We've had the pandemic and this whole work from home thing. We're 3-4 years into it. What's your whole view on work from home and, the pluses, the minuses, and where do you think this is going to go, actually?
When COVID happened, the biggest challenge I had was getting people to work at home. Because you were people who've worked in an office 20, 30, 40 years. Now they got to take all their equipment, go home. And it was a challenge. I didn't know if it would work. There was change management. The biggest challenge I have now is bringing people back to the work. And I think we've got to an environment where I don't think people want to work 5 days a week in the office. I may want it as a CEO, but I don't think people are going to do that. They like the flexibility. I think two things COVID showed them. One, they can actually work reasonably well from home. Two, they're quite productive. And three, that flexibility they have when they work from home is magical. Today is Friday. I typically work at home on Fridays. My wife's working in another office, but we'll have lunch together. It's magical. Without kids, we'll have lunch for 40 minutes. We'll catch up on things. Maybe people have errands. So I think the community has spoken. Our teams have spoken. There is a place for working back in the office. I think it's 3 days a week and you can pick 3 days, different formats, but giving people some flexibility is